The hyperinflation of the Weimar Republic in 1923 represents one of the most extreme cases of monetary collapse ever recorded and can only be fully understood by considering its deep historical, economic, and political roots, as well as its devastating effects on German society. After the end of the First World War, Germany found itself in a situation of profound weakness. The imperial government had financed much of the war through borrowing rather than taxation, assuming that victory would allow the debt to be repaid through reparations imposed on defeated enemies. But defeat instead left the country burdened with enormous internal debts and no clear strategy to manage them. The Treaty of Versailles further intensified these problems by assigning Germany full responsibility for the war and imposing heavy reparations that had to be paid in gold or foreign currency, which Germany lacked. To meet its obligations and maintain social stability in a fragile new democracy, the Weimar government chose to finance its deficits by expanding the money supply, a decision that gradually eroded the value of the mark and reduced confidence in the currency. Inflation had already been present in the early post-war years, but it accelerated dramatically as political instability, uprisings, and attempted coups undermined trust in state institutions and discouraged foreign investment. The crisis reached its peak in 1923 when Germany defaulted on reparation deliveries and French and Belgian troops occupied the Ruhr, the industrial heart of the country, to extract payments directly. The German government responded by calling for passive resistance, encouraging workers and industrialists to strike and refuse cooperation with the occupiers, while the state continued to pay their wages and cover business losses. Since production in the Ruhr virtually stopped, the economy lost a major source of goods and tax revenue, forcing the government to print even more money to meet its obligations. This triggered a vicious cycle in which rising prices led to higher nominal wages and state spending, which in turn required further money creation, causing prices to rise even faster. By the summer and autumn of 1923, inflation had turned into hyperinflation, with the value of the mark collapsing on a daily basis and prices increasing at an exponential rate. A loaf of bread that had cost a few marks before the war came to cost billions of marks, and exchange rates spiraled out of control, with $1 worth trillions of marks at the peak of the crisis. Money lost its basic economic functions as a store of value and unit of account, forcing people to spend wages immediately, sometimes several times a day, before they became worthless. Everyday life was profoundly distorted as citizens resorted to barter, foreign currencies, and goods such as coal, cigarettes, and food as substitutes for money, while businesses struggled to set prices that remained meaningful even for a few hours. The social consequences were severe and deeply unequal. The middle class, pensioners, and salaried workers on fixed incomes saw their savings and life insurance policies completely destroyed, leading to feelings of betrayal and humiliation, while farmers, industrialists with real assets, and those who held debts often benefited, as loans could be repaid with depreciated currency. Speculation flourished, moral norms eroded, and many people experienced a sense of chaos and injustice as honest work no longer guaranteed survival. Politically, hyperinflation further weakened the legitimacy of the Weimar Republic, reinforcing the belief that democratic institutions were incapable of providing order and stability, and increasing support for extremist movements on both the left and the right. The crisis was finally brought under control in late 1923 through a combination of measures, including the end of passive resistance in the Ruhr, sharp cuts in government spending, tighter fiscal discipline, and above all, the introduction of a new currency, the Rentenmark, which was backed not by gold, but by mortgages on industrial and agricultural land, and issued in strictly limited quantities. These reforms quickly restored confidence and stabilized prices, but they could not erase the social trauma left behind. the memory of hyperinflation became a powerful collective experience that shaped German attitudes toward money, debt, and inflation for generations, contributing to a strong cultural preference for price stability and fiscal discipline, while the resentment and social fragmentation produced by the crisis played an important role in the broader instability of the interwar period and formed part of the background against which later authoritarian movements were able to gain support.